Folks, welcome back to the Magnolia Shine podcast. I am your host, Trellis Williams, alongside the one and only Blake Levine. We appreciate you joining us right here. We're back on a Friday. Folks, I had a court date. I got pulled over for not wearing my seatbelt, and I was wearing it. Blake, I was wearing it, I'm telling you, but I had to go to court and plead not guilty. So, anyway, we're back on
Did you
Friday.
win? Did you win your court date?
I got another one on March 5th. I'll have to keep you guys updated.
Wait. So what happened? How does that work?
Well, I pleaded not guilty, so I have a trial now. A trial for
Okay.
seatbelt wearing. Yeah, okay. All right, so folks, look, we got Dandy Dozen lists to talk about. We also have the top basketball teams in the state that we're going to go through, myself and the one and only Blake Levine. But before that, I want to go ahead and let you know Austin Graham is your insurance guy with Farm Bureau. Whether it's life, whether it's auto, whether it's home insurance, he is your man. Austin Graham sponsors our show. Then we also have Pinnacle Roofing and Restoration. We appreciate them sponsoring us as well. If you have any roof damage, any leaks, that's quality you can depend on. That is Pinnacle Roofing and Restoration. Their phone number is on the screen right now. We appreciate both of our sponsors. Extremely appreciate them for sure. And folks, I want to make sure that you go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button, turn those notifications on as well. So Blake, we're going to go ahead and go through these Dandy Dozen lists, and I'm going to just kind of read them out, read them through.
But before you even start, you got to meet Michael Chavez, the guy that obviously does he's the name on the list. You met him the other day when we were at the private school championships,
That's
and
right.
I want people to know when he puts these lists together. Which, by the way, I thought he actually did a pretty good job. I mean, look. If you want to argue about the last couple spots, be my guest. But, I thought that, he was pretty spot on for the most part. And, he does these lists with other coaches and assistant, all kinds of stuff. So it's not just like, oh, Michael, boom, here's the list. It's Michael, here's like 20 players that I really like. Coach, what do you think? Coach, what do you think? Here. And by, letting it kind of making a jumble and going, okay, this is the 12.
That's right. And it's good to be able to spotlight some of these top athletes around the state, and you can't spotlight every single great player. You don't know what the future holds either. And also, we're early in the season. It's preseason. It's basically preseason type accolades here, or early in the season.
Right. And, we're just, we're about to turn the corner into some district play, but we're still
Yep.
getting some, holiday tournaments, going to go on. Obviously, we're going to have some Rumble tournaments that have, been played and or playing. So there's a lot going on, in basketball, and we're just kind of jumping into it. Sadly, we don't get those first, 8 to 10 games for a lot of schools because, football is going to overwhelm it. But here we are, boys and girls basketball. Let's get it.
That's right. And we're going to go through this Danny Dozen list. I got the boys list up right now. We got Caden Arterberry out of Pearl. He's a 6'5" forward, and I've actually seen him up in person. He's a pretty good player. Going to go through all of these, and then I'll get Blake you to kind of dive in on this. We got Max Berea, I do believe, out of St. Stanislaus. He's a senior, 6'8" forward out of there.
Team is undefeated right now.
Yeah, they're doing very well. 11-0. Averages 18, 12, and 3 steals with 3 blocks. So he's doing a lot of good stuff. Then Eric Dampier Jr., who I hear is now a 5-star recruit, and of course the son of Mississippi State legend and NBA vet Eric Dampier is also a great guy too. Eric Dampier. Eric Dampier Jr., 6'10", center, averaging 14, 12, and 2. And he's only a sophomore. So, he's definitely a very good player, dynamic player there. Then you got Deshaun Dillon out of Northwest Rankin. He's a junior, 6'4" guard, averaging 21 points and 8 rebounds. And he holds a good few D1 offers. He's a pretty solid player.
For basketball and football.
That is right. I knew I recognized that name, Blake. I knew I recognized that
Yeah,
name. I'm like, and I
no,
don't think it was basketball.
he's a three-star wide receiver on the football field. He got stars next to his name on two different sports. I mean, look, we got to highlight this kid. This kid, you know what? I'm making a video on him today. That's a kid that we need to highlight right there. Two
Yeah,
sport athlete. Forget Bo
yeah.
Jackson, where you got basketball season in between baseball and football. Dylan just walks right off the football field. Here's 30 for you.
So Deshaun Dillon, definitely a guy to show up. I do like these guys who are able to play the both sports, play multiple sports, because what that means, you're a competitor. Because I mean, we saw Nick Saban said something about that. Is what was always impressive to him are the guys that were real good at another sport too. Just impressed with their competitive
Oh yeah, I
nature.
got one for you. I got one for you.
What?
Who would you say is the best young quarterback in the NFL right now?
Drake May. All right,
Do you know how good of a basketball player he was?
real good, real good.
And by the way, his brother, I think won the national championship with North Carolina on the basketball team. So, you know, go play all the sports. Don't be scared. Don't be scared.
Yeah, no, that's it's pretty crazy there. So of course now we have the one and only Sam Funches, 6'11", center
Top
out of
ranked kid in the
Germantown.
state. Top ranked kid in the state right there.
That's right, and he's heading to Gonzaga, which is really cool. He's averaging 15, 9, 5 blocks. That's a tough guy to
Only
go up
five?
against.
Only five? It's because they won't
I'm,
shoot near him.
I'm sure it feels like a lot more. But you're talking about state championship last year. He was a big part of their 7A state championship team. Then you got Landon Hall out of Pass Christian, senior,
I like this kid.
6'5"
I like this
forward,
kid.
averages 19 and 6. And then we got Cameron Hampton out of Boonville. He's a senior, 6'6" forward, averaging 10 and 6. And so he's out of Boonville, big fella there. We got Michael Hood out of Columbus, a senior 6'4" guard, averaging 14-7. And then you got Blake Nettles out of Pascagoula, a senior 6'2" guard, averaging 13-5 and 3. So Blake, I think this is a two-sport athlete as well, right? Blake Nettles.
Yeah, man, don't quote me on that. But what I do know with Blake Nettles is he's going to Jackson State. So, Tiger
Yeah.
faithful, stand up. This kid, Mo Williams likes him. He must be good.
No, yeah, most definitely. Then we got Cameron Snow out of Ridgeland, the senior
I like
5'10"
back-to-back years.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And obviously very very good player. Averaging 10, 6, and 4 with 3.5 steals a game. So just a menace on the defensive side of the ball. Jaden Tate out of Starkville, senior 6'1" guard. And you're talking about a player who is doing his part in leading a team. And listen, Starkville's got two dandies. And listen, they're right now, according to Max Preps, they're the number 1 team in the state, 9-0 record. Man, Starkville, how about that? And so you got Terrell Warren as well out of Starkville. He's a 6'2" guard. So how about that for a backcourt? Having two dandies in your backcourt. No wonder why they're winning. But that's the Dandy Dozen list, Blake. What are your thoughts after I read some of those names? You kind of commented a little bit on them, but we see some pretty impressive stuff on there.
Well, let's start with the team that has two, right? Because anytime you have two dandies, you're then the overwhelming favorite in whatever class you're in to win the state title. And when you have Anthony Carlisle, who I think he has 6 titles, maybe it's 7, maybe it's 5, but I think it's 6 titles, son of Archie Carlisle, who was also a state champion. When you have this collection of good coach, top tier talent, because it's not just those two dandies. Starkville as just a whole has just a really good team. And matter of fact, they're number 1 in the girls' side and the boys' side. I mean, it's both, Trellis, right? Like
I know.
this team is just. I mean, that school is full of basketball talent. And Starkville actually had a girls' dandy. We'll talk about Jada Gay here in a second. And they could have had a second one as well. So for me, that's the standout thing is Starkville having two. Obviously, the kid from Columbus, he holds some Division I offers. I think that kid's one of the most underrated. Mike Hood, right? He's one of the most underrated kids in the state. Just a lot of people I guess, aren't familiar, but they should be. I mean, the kid's really good. We talked about Dylan. I mean, I just love the two sports side of that, right? Is that he could be a football Dandy Dozen next year too. That's what I'm
Yeah.
hearing. That's what I'm hearing. I just, I don't say he is. I'm just saying that he's possibly a two-time basketball dandy and a football dandy. Because you can only be a football dandy once, unlike all the other sports.
Oh, really?
You can only be a senior and be a dandy in football.
Okay. Okay. Wow, that's
So,
interesting.
so
I didn't
even
even know
though,
that.
right. So even though maybe like, a Braylon Womack or Tristan Keys, because Womack won the Gatorade Player of the Year his junior year, he
Yeah.
couldn't be a dandy until he was a senior. But every other
Okay.
sport, you can be it as many times as you want. Obviously, the youngest kid on the list, Eric Dampier Jr., the only kid that's not an upperclassman. Look, you said just a 5-star, man. He's been a 5-star, right? I mean, he's been one of the top 3 players in his class all the way along. He was dunking in 7th grade, and there were videos of it. It was pretty cool. He's an automatic. Anytime you have a 5-star, I mean, you should be on that list. I mean, maybe if you're not a fresh, I mean, maybe if you're a freshman, maybe not. But even then, I mean, he could have been on it his freshman year. Although I guess quote me if I'm wrong. Maybe he was on it his freshman year. I
I
can't
don't know.
remember.
Yeah, me neither. I actually was going to ask you that if he was on it last year.
Yeah, could you look that up? Yeah, look that up
I
while I'm
could look it
talking
up.
here, if you could for me, just so that
Yeah.
we get that right for the people at home. I thought the kid from Pearl, Ardberry, I was happy to see him on. I thought he was a kid that maybe would just miss, but I was happy to see him on because he was on my top 10. And I was like, man, this kid should really be on the dandy, but I have a feeling he might miss. And I was like, oh, I'm so excited that the kid from Pearl made it because I was like, man, I really think he should be on it. The kid from Boonville, the forward, I saw him in the state championships last year. He was a beast. Everyone there was looking at the kid that was going to Jack State, and I was like, man, he's got a pretty good two-way player that he's playing alongside. That kid's serious as well. So the dandy list has just been, I just thought this boys list was actually pretty good. But I know we're going to talk here in a second of maybe the guys that could have made it.
That's right. That's right. Eric Dampier Jr. was not on it last year. Man, poor guy. He wasn't on there as a freshman. That's crazy. Uh, no, but I did want to make another point about him though. One thing that you could tell that he's stepping it up, and I'm sure his teammates are as well. The team success is a lot better than it was
They
last year.
haven't lost, right? I don't think they've lost.
12-0, and they're ranked number
Right.
2 on the Max Preps Mississippi State rankings. But here's the thing: last year they kind of struggled through the season a little bit. They had some tough losses, got eliminated, didn't even make it to the overall tournament last year. MRA. So this year, starting off 12-0, that shows. Because the thing is that when you're a guy that's that talented and you're like ranked number 1 in your class and that kind of thing, it's hard to improve on that, really. I mean, in terms of where you're looked at among your
Right.
class. But what you can improve on is willing your team to some more wins. And we've seen that from him with this MRA team.
Yeah, and it's Coach DeWeese's last year, I believe, as the head basketball coach. So obviously, it'd be cool if he could go out with a bang, and he's the winningest coach in history in the state of Mississippi for high
Oh, yeah.
school, and that would be really neat to see him maybe go out with one more title. And I mean, he's
Yeah.
not that far off from 2,000 wins. I know he's not going to get there, but I think he was like in the 1800s.
It's
So
unbelievable.
uh,
That's
I,
unbelievable.
it's really crazy when you think about it. I mean, him and Bill Hurst, two guys that just been coaching, forever. It's
Yeah.
crazy. And I think Deweese, yeah, he's from Indianola, up in the Delta. He's in now the Mississippi Sports Hall of Fame, which was really neat
Yeah.
that he got to do that even before he retired.
Yeah.
Great coach, and now he's got another dandy because obviously, he had the number 1 player once before on his team, not that long ago, and that was Josh Hubbard.
Yeah, no, for sure. Okay, before Blake, you get into some of the names that you would say that could have been on the list, but are not. One thing I do notice about the list that is very good, I think, for the list is that you have guys who are on teams that are succeeding a lot as well. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because what we don't have on the list, we have a lot of guys that have good, solid statistics, but as far as their teams are concerned, they're winning. And so I do
Yeah.
like that. I do like that we are rewarding people that are on teams that are winning. I think that's a good thing overall. Because the thing about basketball is what can get lost in the shuffle is, hey, look, we're trying to win.
Yeah,
Because there's
no,
a lot of individual parts to basketball. Go ahead.
yeah, absolutely. But here's the thing: basketball tends to be dominated by one or two individuals at times. I mean, obviously, we've watched a school
Yeah.
like Raymond lose all five starters, come back the next year, and win the state championship. I'm not saying that coaching doesn't matter. All coaching obviously matters a lot.
Yeah,
But the
obviously,
point
yeah.
being is that there are times where one player can dominate a whole game, right? And so if you have a kid like that, and then you think about Starkville having two, you're gonna win if you have dandies. You should be competitive and be winning games if you have one, especially in
That's
high
right.
school.
That's right. So, Blake, what are some names that you just think about on the top of your head that could have gotten on this list that just missed it, but not that they're snubbed, but just that they weren't mentioned on this list?
Yeah, and before I do this, first off, I thought the list was actually pretty good. Like I said,
Yeah.
it's a really good list. There was only one name that came to my mind that I thought could have been on, just because the numbers. Actually, sorry. Let me rephrase that. There are two kids that could have been on the list that I would have put on. But first off, Trellis. I've said this to you before. When you have a top 12 and you say someone should be on the list, what does that mean?
Well, when you say that, what you're saying is that somebody else should not be on the list if you're saying that somebody should be on the list. Yeah.
Correct. It's not a top 13 list. So
Yep.
when you say this person should be on the list, tell me who you're taking off.
Yeah. No,
Stop,
exactly.
stop giving me just names of kids. Oh, he should be on it. Who's he taking off?
Yeah. I mean, that's
Just saying.
just
Like,
how
it's
it
not a
is.
top 30. It's not a baker's dozen. It's the dandy dozen.
That's right. That's right.
Okay. Two kids. One. And again, I'm not taking kids off the list because I'm not doing this. I'm just saying some kids that I thought, and they were in contention. Okay, I'm not doing the switch thing. I just went
Yeah.
on this whole spiel, but I'm not doing a switch thing. I'm just saying two kids that I really think ball out that you could have a debate. Okay, Samuel Prince from Leak Academy. Kid scoring 40, 50 points in games. I understand that some colleges at the Division I level have just not really gotten into it. Maybe they feel like the lack of some of the athleticism is what is stopping him. I really don't know. I mean, maybe someone can drop it in the comments section. But the kid can flat out shoot the ball. If he is arguably the best shooter, just pure shooter in the state of Mississippi, and the point totals are getting pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
I thought he could have had an argument. Another one is a kid that doesn't even play in the MHSA or MEIS. Trellis.
Yeah.
Yeah, who would that be?
I think that'd be some Michael Williams. I think is what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. And you guys share a last name.
Yeah, we do. We do. Relation.
Trellis, your brother has an argument to be on the Dandy Dozen list.
Yeah, no, I would, I see what you're talking about, but just to note my point earlier on, I do like that the guys that are on the list, their teams are at the top of the rankings. You know what I mean? I think that that's a good reflection. You know what I mean? And I think that that goes for both Sir Michael Williams and Sam Prince. You're talking about guys who are doing well on their teams. Their teams are winning in their respective areas, and they're putting up over 30 points a game, which is worth mentioning. If you notice this list, we only have one guy that's over 20 points a game on the list, but the thing is that they're playing at the biggest schools in the state, and they're winning. And that's how it goes.
Trellis, I don't mean this as a shot. Your brother is playing in a league that is not as good as the MHSA. Fair?
Yeah, especially like
Skill-wise.
7A, like Starkville and, these teams. Yeah.
Right, because your brother's team is really good in the homeschool league, right? Are they the
They're
best?
the top team. Yeah, they're the top team.
Okay,
yeah.
so they're the best in the homeschool league. And obviously Sun Michael scores 40, but they lose to Hazelhurst, who is probably not going to do much damage in 3A. I mean, they may win some playoff games, right? So it's tough, right?
Yeah, for sure.
To have that argument.
No, definitely. And if you're talking about from and I want to go both the names you're talking about because I have my brother and I'm obviously super biased towards him, but I also can look at this objectively because you're talking about two guys that are averaging over 30 points a game. But here's the thing: that's all you can do from their perspective. What else can you do other than average?
You play who you play. You play who you play.
Yeah, that's right. But as far as from a Dandy Dozen perspective, I totally understand the list, and I think the list. I would say that the list is a good list.
All right, the girls one's a little more debatable.
Yeah, well, here we go. So now we're going to be looking at the girls list now, and we're going to start off with Meg Barber out of Jackson Prep, senior 6'3" forward. It's funny. It's funny, Blake. I'll have to, I'm just seeing it because I'm looking at the list and I see a picture of her, and she's just so much taller and longer than everybody else in this picture. It's insane. It just made me
Hey,
laugh.
there's a reason Missy Bilderback wants her at Southern Miss.
That's right. So and she's a signee at Southern Miss, and listen, Jackson Prep. Man, you get some of these big private schools. You get the Jackson Preps, the Jackson Academies, the Hartfields. Girls basketball is very good. The girls basketball is very good. Then you get
Yeah,
the East. Then you throw in East Rankin. You throw in Park Lane,
Leak,
which Park Lane's got to play.
Leak.
And, oh, Leak. Oh my god. And then Simpson at times. I don't know if Simpson
Yeah,
is
right,
much this year, but
right.
Simpson as well. So private school girls basketball is real good, in the state of Mississippi. So that's her. We got Graceland Carmichael out of Laurel. She's a senior, 5'11" forward. She's averaging 11.5 and 3 steals. And obviously, when you adjust for girls basketball, these heights, 5'11" is very tall. 5'11" is very tall. That's how tall we are, Blake. You know what I mean? And so these girls are our height. Meg Barber's way taller. You know what I mean? So then you get Carlisle Caruth from Park Lane Academy. She's a sophomore, 5'11" guard, averaging 14 and 7. And she is a
Carly.
freshman. It's Carly? Oh, okay. Okay. It's
Yeah,
on
man.
here. It's spelled with an L after the Y before the E. It's spelled Carlisle on here. I don't know if it's typo or whatever. But
Yeah, no,
okay,
no,
so
that's
Carly Caruth.
it's right. It's just yeah.
It's just I mispronounced it. Okay, my bad. Carly Caruth.
No, I
And
understand. Yeah, yeah. You're looking at it like it's Anthony Carlisle instead of Carly. I got where you went. I got it. Makes sense now.
That's my bad.
Spelled the same.
Carly Caruth, and that's
Carly
Brewer
Caruth.
Caruth's younger sister. If I'm just
Correct.
making the broad assumption, same school and awesome
Yes.
basketball players. I'm just making an assumption. And so you're talking about she averaged that as a freshman. She's a sophomore now, and getting on the Danny Dozen list. I mean, that's very impressive for her.
Yeah,
we're
she's gonna be playing Division I basketball.
Yeah, I mean, it's just hard to doubt that. I mean, her older brother does, and she's a sophomore on the Dandy Dozen list. I mean, what else? What else do you have to say? Park Lane was the state champion of last year for MAIS overall. Which, by the way, on a side note, that's an awesome tournament. That MAIS basketball overall tournament's awesome. I know that they're trying to find a similar system for football. It's just hard to do that, but man, their basketball tournament is just awesome how it's set up. You got Jada Gay out of Starkville. She's a senior, 6'4" forward. Here you go, another Starkville Dandy Dozen, but on the girls' side, she's averaging 13, 8, and 2.5 steals. They made it to the 7A title game last year, and she's headed to Southern Miss next year. And so, Coach Builder back there at Southern Miss, she's pulling in some of these top Mississippi players. Makes you want to pull for Southern Miss next year. If you're going to just collect, I like it when those schools collect the Mississippi players. It's pretty awesome. We see Zanaya Johnson out of Biloxi. She's a junior, 6'4" forward, averaging 14.5 points, 9 rebounds. She's got some offers from major Division I programs. We got Meg Moore out of Tishomingo County. She's a sophomore, 6-foot guard. And I'm pretty sure that's been our headline player in the state the last couple of years. I've heard the name.
She was a dandy. She was a dandy as a freshman. She was a dandy as a freshman. She was Mr. Basketball 4A or Miss Basketball 4A. So she'll probably be dandy 4 years, Miss Basketball 4 years.
Yeah. So she's averaging 22 points and 6.5 rebounds.
And those stats are last year's stats. They're not this year's stats, right?
Yeah. And a lot of these are last year's stats because I do notice that statistics, there's some teams that put them out there and some teams don't, and you have to ask them for it.
Yeah.
It's kind of
coaches put the stats out. Put the stats out, coaches.
Because that's the thing. It's like, man, in football, almost everybody puts their stats out. But then it's like basketball. It's like some people don't do it. But I gotta say, as a guy who will put stats out for a team, it's rapid fire. It's game. It's harder to get that rhythm. Shamira Morton or Shamira. Do you know if it's Shamira or Shamira Morton out of Canton?
I think it's
Senior
Shamira.
Shamira Morton, 6'3" senior out of Canton.
One of my
She's
favorite
gonna be
players. One of my
yeah
favorite players.
she's real good. Man, goodness gracious. She averaged 23, 14, and 5 last year out of Canton. And she's headed to Seton Hall. Oh, man.
Oh,
How about that?
she's so good. She's so
And
good, and she's got a great
she's very
motor
tall.
too. Like she gives
Yeah.
100% from the moment she steps on the floor, and I just love players that I never have to worry about their effort.
I can't stress that more, Blake. I can't stress that more because I find myself coaching basketball. And, man, if you're not hustling, I'm sorry. I like you, but you
Yeah,
can
but
sit over here on the bench.
nobody has to convince Morton. Nobody has to convince Morton to hustle.
No, no. So that's then we got Sanaya Murray out of Harrison Central. She's a junior, 6'4" forward. Averaged 18 points, 10 rebounds, 1.5 blocks last year. And she's got offers from major Division One places as well. And the thing is, with what I've noticed over here, is that the differences in the offers that they get is when they're really tall, it helps them get some more offers. And I noticed this a little bit too on the girls basketball list. We got a lot of major Division One interest going on around there.
Yeah, I mean South Carolina offered.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, listen, you get a South Carolina offer, that's about as good as it gets. It really is. And then you got Carly
Oh, and
Robinson out of
yeah, and I think it was the girl
Okay.
at sorry, I think it was the girl at Biloxi that got the South Carolina offer. I
Okay,
believe.
that wasn't listed here. South Carolina wasn't listed here as Auburn, Ole Miss, Houston, and Memphis, which is pretty high
Yeah,
level as well.
I think it's the girl at Biloxi that has that.
Okay, well let me. Yep. She holds offers from South Carolina. Yep. Then hey, look, now we got a regular sized girl on the list. How about that? A 5'7" guard out of Madison Central, sophomore Carly Robinson. And she averaged 15 last year. She holds offers from USM, UT Martin, Alcorn, Jackson State. And so, obviously, a very good player, and you're talking about, hey, look, it's always impressive when the
Yeah.
regular sized people get on the list, you know what I'm saying?
Hey, she was starting as a seventh grader.
Oh, well, there you go. There you go. Man, you get that experience young, it really helps you moving forward. And, we've been talking about football all year long. There's no way you can start as a seventh grader in football. You're just going to get killed. Whereas, like, unless you're just a complete ridiculous big guy or whatever when you're young. But in basketball, you might be able to find the kids that do that, and those kids are way ahead basketball IQ-wise by the end. And so, especially when you're operating as a 5'7" guard, that's not small for a girl, but it's not big. So you're just talking about being able to play the game well. You got Olivia Smith out of Tupelo. She's a senior, 5'9" guard. She's heading to UT Martin, averaging 14, 6, and 3. Their team won a 7A state championship last year. That's Olivia Smith. And then from Neshoba Central, we got Kylie Truss. She's a senior 5'9" guard, averaged 16, 5, 4 steals, 3 assists, and she's got a bunch of JUCO offers. We got Kalis Walker out of Laurel. She's a senior. I think that's our second Laurel player on the list.
Two Laurels.
Yeah, which, hey, Laurel. I have seen some Laurel scores, and they were dominating. Not surprising.
Yeah.
Not surprising.
They should be the overwhelming favorite in 5A.
In 5A, okay, yeah. So she's a 6'2" forward, average 17, 10, and a block. She's got some good D1 offers as well. So that wraps up the Dandy Dozen list for girls. Now, Blake, I'm not as familiar. So, the boys list, I'm actually familiar with a lot of those guys. I've been kind of trying to keep up with it a lot. I need to catch up a little bit on my knowledge of kind of some of the top girls players. I knew about 3 or 4 of them on that list. You said that this list was a little bit more controversial. Why and in what way?
Yeah, it's different, right? Because there's a lot younger players that you sometimes find on the girls list, right? obviously you have Meg that was on as a freshman, and then you have her as a sophomore. You had Carly Karoof who's on as a sophomore. You have some juniors, you have some seniors. I think a couple that names that you could have brought up is Kaylee Nix at Olive Branch is in 8th grade, and I'm not so sure she's not one of the top 5 best players in the state of Mississippi right now, not future, right now, as an
Yeah.
eighth grader. Now, if we're going on tiebreakers, I understand going with a senior over an 8th grader. Kaylee's going to have her 4 years on the Dandy Dozen list. Dude, trust me, she'll be on next year. So that's a iffy argument. She's a great player. She's going to have those top offers from like the top 10, 15 schools in the nation, as well as the Mississippi schools. She could have been on. I forgot the girl's name. She came from Wyoming, of all places, from Cheyenne, Wyoming, and she plays for Starkville. Starkville could have had 2 on the girls list, and I'm sorry I'm forgetting your name. I apologize, but they had another girl that could have been on the list. So there were some that you could have. I mean, Liz Stephens at East Rankin Academy, who was great as a freshman. I think she could have been on. She's a really good basketball player. So there were a few.
Yeah, yeah, and again, it's just interesting with and because we talked about football all year long. It's interesting how you see the different programs. Powerhouse programs will stay. Culture makes a lot of difference. You have places that are consistent winners, and obviously it has a lot to do with the players. It has everything to do with the players, but it also doesn't, because if a school just stays good through players after players after players, eventually you just have to give credit to the program. And some of these
Yeah.
schools that you have around the state, when they continue to win, it's because of the players, but it's also because of development of those players.
No, absolutely. It's no surprise we see a lot of the same teams every single year in the state championship.
Yeah, that's not an accident. So let's talk about that a
Not an
little bit.
accident.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit, Blake, before we get out of here today. Just talking about some of these top basketball teams in the state of Mississippi. What's tough is that in non-conference play, non-district play, you just see different matchups. Teams get their records, and they'll get beat by really good teams. Basketball has a lot to do with how you're shooting on that day sometimes. So the rankings will sometimes get a little bit out of whack, and then when you see district play, now you start to balance back out and see who's contending for a championship. But obviously, we have a few teams that are extremely impressive, and when you're undefeated, obviously you're going to be a good team. So obviously, starting off, we got Starkville and MRA at the top of the Max Preps list that we've seen. And then we have West Union, who's 13-0. That's a smaller school, but West Union's 13-0. You got to give credit to the 13-0 team. What have you seen from them, Blake? I mean, I know that you keep up with this. I knew that they were undefeated, but what have you seen from them? West Union, I feel like we should definitely give them a shout out. 13-0 start.
Look, obviously they have started really well. The competition that they've been playing has not been at the highest level. If they had to turn around and play Murrah High School or Holmes County, would they be undefeated? I guess maybe. I wouldn't think so. But you got to give credit because they're playing in the small classification, so
That's
they
right,
are
yeah.
playing the teams that they're going to have to beat. Along the way to win a state title. So in that sense, their goal is to win a state title, and it looks like that's a team that contender.
Yeah. And so there you go. Then you got Germantown, who, I mean, I don't think there's any doubt about it that they're top contenders. I mean, they've got arguably the best player in the state with Sam Funches, okay? And then they're the defending 7A state champions. Now, they did lose guys. I mean, they did, from last year. But they're showing very well. You got West Harrison, okay? West Harrison's undefeated right now. They're 7A. And, then you got Gulfport, who's undefeated right now. How about that? How about Gulfport? Gulfport sports
Yeah.
are riding high right now, huh? And then you get into Lanier. Lanier having another good year last
They're
year.
serious.
See,
They're serious.
thing about Lanier is that, and I've interviewed their Coach Lawrence Clark, and I really like that guy, and he does a great job there with the Bulldogs. Last year, they were doing real well, and then at the end, they just kind of lost there in the
Yeah.
playoffs, you know what I mean? And so
They
I know
just
that
got
they're going to want to
upset.
finish. Yeah, I know that they're going to want to finish. Talk about some of those teams I just listed: Germantown, West Harrison, Gulfport, Lanier, what you've gathered from those schools.
Yeah. Let's start with Lanier, like we were just talking about. I mean, obviously last year the end of the season just didn't work out. But here's a team that's, I think they just beat Murrah the other night. They're competing. They're playing really good teams early in the year because when you play JPS basketball, you're forced to play really good teams to start
For
the
sure.
year. I also think Jim Hill could be okay. I saw they've had a couple good wins. Murrah's serious again. Um, Gulfport and West Harrison, we'll see as the season moves along. Biloxi's always got something to say. Down there on the coast, Pascagoula down on the coast is always really good. So it'll be interesting with those teams. I think Ridgeland is a team that we need to watch out for. They return a lot of guys from their state championship team last year.
Yeah,
And when it comes to Germantown, even though they lost both of the Williams brother, one to Jack State, one to another school, they still have Sam Funches and I'm forgetting the other kid's name. They
I
got
know
another kid
exactly who
that's
you're talking about, but I don't remember his name, but I know
why am I
exactly who you're
blanking
talking
on?
about.
He's like a
He's a
power
great player.
forward for them.
Yeah.
Power forward for them. But either way, Germantown, the Mavs, they're definitely a contender. But I think, Starkville's obviously the favorite, but Germantown right there.
No, definitely. Definitely. And then, another team I wanted to mention, and, hey, look, I don't work with their basketball at all, but I do work with their football, and that's Terry. Terry's a good team. They're in the top 15 on the Max Preps list. Thing about Terry is that sometimes they just find themselves losing the games that they need to win there down the stretch. They did make it to the Big House a couple of years ago. I do believe it was a couple of years ago that Terry made it there. But man, they've just got a dynamic athletic team. It just see how it goes down the stretch for them. But very good basketball
Yeah,
school.
and teams in that kind of bracket. You got Canton and Holmes County as well. Some of those I know Canton's now in 6A, Holmes still in 5. Holmes County is one of the 5 best teams in the state at the moment for me. I mean, I think that them and
They're
Lanier
pretty
could
good.
be a heck of, and even Cleveland Central always has some really good teams. Can's always good. Obviously, they're 2-time defending champs. They move up to 6A, but they'll be playing for possibly a title in that too. So a lot of really good teams around the metro area and above.
Yeah, Kosciuszko doing pretty well.
Yeah, now that they get their basketball players, or I
That's
mean their football player. I mean their football players.
but man, they
League
were winning.
Central, League
They were
Central,
winning
League
already. Oh,
Central's
League
got a really
Central,
good
yeah.
team. League
Yeah, they
Central's
do.
got a really good team.
Yeah, no, 100%. All right, folks. Look, we're gonna go ahead and get out of here. We were able to mention some of these teams, and we're gonna continue to dive into it, and we're gonna have our own creative ways of talking this basketball season. We're gonna talk some matchups. When district comes around, we're gonna have to really dive into the matchups because those are gonna really make a big difference. But we're still here in kind of non-district play, seeing how these teams are panning out. Congratulations to all the Dandy Dozen players. And also, congratulations to the players that we mentioned that were just outside of it. You've had really good seasons as well, and you're really good players as well. But listen, only 12 in the state. There's no shame in that. Come on now. But we appreciate you all joining us. Please leave a comment on what you think, and especially during basketball season. I think Blake would agree with me here that we would like even more now to kind of see what you're thinking. Spotlight some guys. Basketball is there's so many teams around the state with good basketball players all over the place. So we do want to hear what you're thinking as well. Blake, do you have any final thoughts before we finish off our episode?
Here we go. New season, new teams, new players, and we're still here.
That is right. So, folks, we appreciate you joining us. This is the Magnolia Shine podcast, the one and only Blake Levine alongside myself, Trellis Williams. And until next time, we out.